looks like this. So I'm going to go to begin end, and that's going to bring up my study screen. So this is where I'm going to put my name in, because I'm scanning, right? Or on the real world would be my patient. And then right now we're on a preset of abdomen. We could do all these other different ones, but we're going to do abdomen setting. But when we get into next quarter, pelvic, thyroid, testicle, things like that. But we're going to do abdomen to start out. So there's two ways you can do this. I have this little set button, or whatever you want to call it, this little like mousey. I like these machines because I can touch them. Not all machines are like this. So you can either use your mouse, and these are my set buttons down here. Both of them will do the same thing, but I like to touch the button. So then we're going to annotate. So first thing we're going to do SAG, AOP. Okay, or not. We're not going to do that at all. AOP. So our annotation. On this machine, other machines you can just backspace if you need to, but the space bar will always bring up your I-bar. And then if you need to annotate, we'll get into this later, like say I have a weird mass and the IVC is next to it, I can actually annotate on the image itself. Mass, IVC. So, and then that will kind of, you know, give the radiologist a little indication of what I'm dealing with. All right. Start out with this. And typically I put my unused probes over here and my used probes over here, like the ones I'm working with, and then my ones that are just kind of hanging out. You can put the gel on your patient if you like. You don't need, more gel is not going to get you better results, I'm going to tell you that right now. But anyway, so I usually do it just on the probe, so again, not touching that tip of the gel to my patient. What you don't want to do is like doing a thyroid, like this, and then does the ketchup bottle thing, and then it farts all over their face. You probably don't want that. And on these transducers, there's always going to be a notch. So this one looks like a little H, and if you're unsure, so this is our home, remember? So I can pet that side of the transducer and see how that side's moving, so I know that's my notch, so that's the part that stays between noon and 9. So we're going to put our probe down. Okay, so let's go through our list a little bit. Whoa, these are kind of out of terrible order. Okay, so first things first, get this guy off. We want to make sure our depth, this is IVC we're looking at. If we go over here, we're going to see aorta. So see how much depth we have? So in this case, I'm going to take my depth button, and I'm going to reduce that depth. Each one of these is a centimeter. Each big one is 5 centimeters. So you can kind of see where we're at. Other machines will actually give you the numeric value of where you are. So we're going to adjust our depth, get it kind of appropriate. And I have that 2D button, that gain button. On this machine, there's two ways to do it. This little circle will brighten things. Remember, I'm increasing the amplitude, or I can decrease the amplitude to make it much darker. I also have this additional button over here that does the same thing. Now we talked about those TGCs, right? So see how I'm like dark down here? I can actually brighten that up by pushing those one way or the other. What we're going for is an even gray top to bottom. We expect, like if I'm looking at the spine, I expect it to be a little bit dark, but I don't want to see like, boop, you know, something like that. Very rarely are these out of, like one of them is out of the order of another one. Typically we call them like a sweeping curve, so you'll have them kind of in line, so they're kind of in line with each other. And this machine actually has like, shows them to you, some of the other machines don't. Okay, we gotta fix here, we're gonna have business. Okay, so we went through 2D, TGCs. Okay, so if I'm ready, go ahead, big breath in and hold it. So here we are, there's our aorta. Ooh, look at how nice that, what is this guy right here?
SMA?
SMA, so go ahead and breathe. So aorta right here, and we'll learn this next week. I'm just getting a little squirrely because it's so beautiful. And then the SMA, so the celiac just kind of looks like a big lump here, because remember it's going, hepatic artery's going this way, splenic's going that way, and so the SMA always follows that aorta anteriorly, and then we're going to run into left renal vein. Okay. Yeah, you're like, oh sure, yeah, okay. Okay, so other things we have. So we can change our depth with our depth button. We can also, if we go to transverse, and say I have like a small structure, so here, that's actually her left renal going between, so aorta, SMA, and that left renal sneaking between the two. So say I want to look at this IVC. Well, I've got, and a gallbladder. I've got a bunch of other stuff here, so I can hit my image width button, and I can narrow that down. And there's a physics reason behind that we'll get into later. And on this machine, I can either change my position or width here, or I can use those side buttons. So I can make it narrower, change where it's at, make it a little wider, change where it's at. So that's our image width button. Frequency. Okay, so right now we're running at a 5.5 harmonic, don't worry about that part, 5.5 megahertz. And we'll talk in physics exactly what that means. Mike loves this button. I never touch it. So I can change my frequency, so I'm going with a lower frequency, so more penetration. I can go to a 6. I can go a higher frequency, so better resolution. So we have some options. So that's your multi-hertz button. And then there's also a button called dynamic range. So on this machine, it's dynamic range. It's called compression or contrast. It's the number of shades of gray, more physics. So if I have a lot of shades of gray, things are going to be very kind of black, lots of gray, lots of gray, lots of gray, lots of gray, white. But if I have very few shades of gray, black, white, gray, that's it. So it's going to be like very contrasted, like an old black and white movie. So that's called our dynamic range, contrast or compression. So let's touch that one. Just go right here. So if I drop my dynamic range and there's a numeric value, it's measured in decibels. So if I go dynamic range down, see how dark, kind of contrasty it gets? Mm-hmm. Vascular will sometimes not maybe this excessive, but vascular will scale like this because they want these echogenic plaques to really show up. But for us, it's like, we don't like this. But if I go too far up, boop, 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 see how now my anechoic things look like they're kind of filled in? So every machine measure these slightly differently. Oops, I lied on that one. Measure these slightly differently. So you just want to kind of start with what your machine has, and as you learn more about it, you'll change them just slightly.